The next we're going to talk about is something I don't know if I should be talking about, but I'm going to because if you guys are listening to this, I appreciate you, and this is fun information. So somebody actually sent this to me. Somebody in Oregon was wearing a cleat I had never seen before. So let's pull up that photo really quick. It's not a high quality photo, but it's all I could find. I can't remember the name of the player. I think his name is Bucky or something. I don't follow college football too much,
Oh,
unfortunately. I'm
oh,
so deep. Evan might.
I know his name. I want to say it's Bucky Irving, I think.
That sounds right because I tried to find more pictures of him. I think it's something like that. I know his first name is Bucky because I don't know if I've ever heard anybody with that first name before.
Yes, can confirm it is Bucky Irving. His real name is Marquise Irving, but they call him Bucky Irving.
All right, yeah. So this is Bucky. Check out the cleats. All right, guys. What do those look like to you guys? Do you guys have a thought on what these
Those
might look like?
To me, those look like the original Untouchables.
Exactly. Bingo.
Vapor
So this,
Untouchables.
yeah, these look like the OG Nike Vapor Untouchables, one of the greatest cleats ever made. You can just tell from that front where it's kind of glossy, kind of the shape of the toe box
Yeah.
there. And then if you look at that left cleat, you'll notice that it has that that heel cup of the edge plate. So
Oh
with this
yeah.
information, this leads me to believe that Nike is kind of doing what they did with the Vapor or the Vapor Carbon, the Vapor. They named them so long. The Vapor Edge 360 VCs. Basically, they're taking an old cleat that everybody loves, and they're remaking it with the updated Edge traction plate. And I think that's exactly what we see here. So I think they're bringing back the OG Untouchables with the Edge plate, which for me, kind of a bummer because the main reason a lot of people like these old Nike football cleats was the Vapor Carbon traction plate because it's so springy, it's so snappy, just one of the best traction plates of all time. So you get the look, of the old Vapor Untouchable, but you're still going to get the Edge traction plate, not the OG Vapor Carbon plate. So, what do you guys think about Nike kind of, coming out with these? I assume they will, and just like kind of reusing some of their most iconic models for future releases.
Do something new. Like it's and I went on a rant about this in a TikTok, and like I took some hate for it. So like, why would they not do that? It's like we want this like old school stuff. I'm like, I would be okay if it's like, oh, we are releasing this new stuff right now, and then at the same time we're doing this throwback thing, this really cool thing. And it's like, oh, sweet. But it's like when we haven't had a new cleat for. Okay, I guess we actually did get the Vapor Untouchable, or sorry, the Vapor Edge 2s this year, the updated
After
version.
3 years of the ones,
Yeah. So I guess that's where I'm kind of salty, where it's like, hey, we didn't have a new cleat for like 3 years, 4 years. And then it's like they're kind of just like spinning their wheels. And then they're like kind of conceding. They're like, okay, let's just take the old thing and put the new thing on it. And then like, okay, we'll buy ourselves a year. Let's kind of work on something new. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like same, even partially, and it's kind of all wrapped up in like Nike's whole strategy around like not being very football heavy, but more into like women's flag football is obviously growing. Golf is growing. Women's in general is growing for Nike. And so it's like less of a push for football. So even like we didn't get, even in the years past where we didn't get new cleats, we got new Vapor Jets, Vapor Jet 6, Vapor Jet 7. But then that's it. And it's like a lot of guys that we're still preferring the Vapor Jet 6 over the Vapor Jet 7. And this is the second year in a row of the Vapor Jet 7. And then we're hoping we get the Vapor Jet 8s next year. So it's like, that's kind of where like I'm still stuck in where Nike used to be and how much money they used to be pumping into it. And I'm salty that it's not that way anymore. And it definitely makes me struggle to even appreciate the cool stuff they do now. Because like, yes, if they brought these cleats out and I got a pair, I'd be like, holy, these are so comfortable. These are great cleats. But also part of me is still a little salty where I'm like, okay, I'm pumped. But also, like, I do want something new at the same time. I don't know.
Yeah,
50/50.
I see where you're coming from. That makes sense. For me, like, I see it similarly. I am really excited to see them bring back this stuff because this is like, I mean, this style of cleat was like so important in my development of enjoying football equipment. It was like the cleat, I still have a couple pairs down in the studio. I don't have them with me, but it is a good point that it's kind of like a cop out, taking their old stuff that was successful and just kind of redoing it instead of developing all new cleats. And we talked about a little bit. They're kind of slacking on their cleat releases in general. Like it took 3 years of the Vapor Edge 360 Pro 1s before they came out with the 2s. So it's clear that Nike's kind of backpedaling out of football and putting less and less into it every single year, which, as equipment enthusiasts, I guess you could call us, it sucks to see. But
And a little
I don't know.
teaser. It's also not surprising that a Nike athlete is now not even wearing Nike cleats because they're seeing the same thing.
Oh yeah, Jalen. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited for these cleats. I think it's really cool, but I mean, you made a good point. They're not really doing much. Evan, what do you think, man? I know you're pretty nostalgic towards these old Nike cleats too.
It really makes me wonder who they're marketing this towards, because like you said, it's a certain group of people, people like
Yeah.
you, people like me, people like Tony, who were playing, high school football at the time that these were coming out. I never got my hands on a pair of those, unfortunately, but they were definitely one of my favorite silhouettes. And one of my teammates had a pair, and I loved them. I thought they were so cool. I've always wanted a pair, and it just makes you wonder, like, why are they bringing back these old cleats that only a certain subgroup of people are going to get the nostalgic factor of, whereas they could be releasing new cleats to this new age group of youth players, high school athletes, and things like that that are coming up now. And that's kind of what I'm wondering, like, I just wonder what their thought process is, because people like you, people like me, we don't play football anymore. You can still play flag and things like that, but it's not going to be the same exact thing as getting those cleats and lacing them up for Friday Night Lights.
Yeah, that's honestly a really good point. I haven't even thought about that. Like you said, the people they're marketing this to have grown up. They don't play football anymore. Maybe some of them have kids, and that's their idea. Like, oh, these guys have kids now. They're going to want their kids to have them. But I mean, I don't think they'd be old enough. I don't have kids. You don't have
That
kids.
has
So,
that has to be it, right? It has to be a nostalgic thing, because why else would you?
yeah.
It doesn't have to be, but that is, that's a big part of it. Is why else would you release an iconic silhouette in the football equipment world, and then not lean on the fact that, yes, people are going to like this because they used to like it, back in 2014, 2015.
Yeah. It's
Maybe
definitely
it's
weird.
not.
What do you mean?
Maybe it's like a marketing engine where we are the ones shilling the product because we are the ones that are nostalgic about it. But in reality, the people they're marketing this to buy, which aren't us, well, technically it's us, but like we're not the mass of the people buying it in that age group of, say, 14 to 18, high school, whatever. They don't even know that the old Vapor Untouchables existed. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of these kids were 7 years old.
Yeah.
So maybe it's also part of the fact that they know we are going to market and shill this stuff for them because we're nostalgic about it. But in reality, it's just a good looking football cleat to these kids that didn't know that the 2014 era of Nike existed.
I mean, that's a really deep point I never thought of. So you're saying that Nike's targeting our nostalgia so that we promote their products for them. So they're using us, essentially, is what you're saying. Nike's using us.
Yeah, I'm saying they're using us
That's
as a
so
marketing
crazy.
tool, but
I
then
like
in
that.
reality, the people that are going to be buying it doesn't matter to them because like it just looks like a new football cleat to them that looks cool, which it did back then. But in reality, they're just using us as the marketing tool because we're nostalgic about it. But then when it actually gets in the buyer's hands, it doesn't matter that there is no nostalgia for them. They just see it as a cool looking football cleat with the newest traction plate.
Yeah. I mean, when you put it like that, it makes a lot of sense. You guys both made really good points. So just open my eyes to some things I didn't even think about before.
You could either be
marketing's tricky.
a business major or a psychology major, and I wouldn't be able to tell which one's which, just based on your
Yeah,
answer
dude.
there.
Yeah. That
Hey,
was
as their
really
budget
deep thinking.
shrinks and shrinks, they're just going to get more and more creative,
Yeah, so instead of
right?
pushing
It's like
money
constraints on
to
stuff always make better products.
Yeah, so instead of spending all this money developing a new product, just develop something that influencers and people that, like this stuff will
Mhm.
promote for you. I
Yep.
mean, that's genius, really.